Mastering implicit bias development. Implicit bias is secretly sabotaging our organization's performance. How do the underlying causes of implicit bias, which exist within our organization, influence our operations, and what are the specific ways in which they affect its overall performance and efficiency? The underlying causes of implicit bias within an organization have a profound impact on its operations, performance, and efficiency. These biases, which are often unconscious and unintentional, can permeate every aspect of an organization, influencing the way employees think, make decisions, and interact with one another. One of the primary ways in which implicit bias affects operational excellence is by creating a lack of diversity and inclusion. When biases are left unchecked, they can lead to a homogeneous workforce, where certain groups or individuals are underrepresented or marginalized. This can result in a lack of diverse perspectives, ideas, and experiences, which are essential for driving innovation and growth. Without a diverse and inclusive workforce, organizations may struggle to develop effective solutions to complex problems, leading to decreased performance and efficiency. Another way in which implicit bias influences operations is by affecting the way employees are recruited, retained, and promoted. Biases can influence hiring decisions, leading to unfair and discriminatory practices. For example, research has shown that job candidates with African American sounding names are less likely to be called for an interview than those with white sounding names, even when their qualifications are identical. This can result in a lack of talented and qualified employees, which can negatively impact an organization's performance and efficiency. Implicit bias can also impact employee development and training, as biases can influence the way training programs are designed and delivered. Biases can lead to a lack of opportunities for certain groups or individuals, resulting in unequal access to training and development opportunities. This can lead to skill gaps and a lack of competitiveness, which can negatively impact an organization's performance and efficiency. Furthermore, implicit bias can also affect the way performance is evaluated and rewarded. Biases can influence the way performance metrics are designed and applied, leading to unfair and disparate treatment of certain groups or individuals. For example, research has shown that women are often evaluated more harshly than men when it comes to their performance, even when their work is identical. This can result in unequal pay, promotions, and opportunities, which can lead to decreased morale, motivation, and productivity. Implicit bias can also influence the way an organization works with its customers and partners. Biases can affect the way customer needs are understood and met, leading to unequal and discriminatory treatment. For example, research has shown that racial minorities are often treated differently than white customers in terms of access to credit, healthcare, and other essential services. This can result in decreased customer satisfaction, loyalty, and ultimately, revenue. Finally, implicit bias can also impact an organization's risk management practices. Biases can influence the way risks are identified, assessed, and mitigated, leading to unequal and unfair treatment of certain groups or individuals. For example, research has shown that certain groups, such as low-income communities, are often disproportionately affected by environmental hazards and pollution. This can result in unequal access to resources, opportunities, and benefits, which can negatively impact an organization's reputation and performance. In terms of operational excellence, implicit bias can have a significant impact on an organization's ability to achieve its goals and objectives. Biases can lead to inefficiencies, mistakes, and poor decision-making, which can result in decreased productivity, quality, and safety. For example, research has shown that biases can lead to mistakes in healthcare, resulting in unequal and unfair treatment of certain groups or individuals. To mitigate the effects of implicit bias on operational excellence, organizations must take a proactive and intentional approach to identifying and addressing biases. This can involve implementing bias-reducing strategies, such as blind hiring practices, diversity and inclusion training, and bias-aware performance metrics. It can also involve creating a culture of transparency, accountability, and open communication, where employees feel comfortable speaking out against biases and advocating for fairness and equality. Ultimately, addressing implicit bias is critical to achieving operational excellence. By identifying and addressing biases, organizations can create a more inclusive, diverse, and fair work environment where all employees have equal opportunities to succeed and contribute. This can lead to increased innovation, productivity, and performance, as well as improved customer satisfaction, loyalty, and retention. The subtle art of implicit bias. It's a silent killer, creeping into the very fabric of our organizations, influencing our decisions, and stifling our progress. I've seen it time and again, the way it can turn even the most well-intentioned individuals into unwitting participants in a grand game of self-deception. Let me take you back to a particularly instructive episode in my own career. I was working with a manufacturing firm, tasked with streamlining their production process. On paper, everything looked rosy: state-of-the-art equipment, a talented workforce, and a seemingly flawless supply chain. Yet, somehow, their output was consistently below par. As I dug deeper, I began to notice a peculiar trend. The production supervisors, all seasoned veterans, would consistently allocate fewer resources to certain teams. When I asked them why, they'd shrug it off, citing performance issues or lack of experience. But something didn't add up. I decided to observe these teams firsthand, and what I saw was nothing short of remarkable. The underperforming teams were, in fact, comprised of newer employees, many of whom were women or minorities. It wasn't that they were inherently less capable, they simply weren't receiving the same level of support and guidance as their counterparts. The supervisors, unwittingly, had fallen prey to implicit bias. They'd formed subconscious opinions about these groups, opinions that were influencing their decisions, and ultimately, the organization's performance. This experience taught me that implicit bias is the enemy of operational excellence. It's a corrosive force that can seep into every aspect of our operations, from hiring and training to resource allocation and performance evaluation. So, how do we combat this insidious foe? First, we must acknowledge its existence, acknowledging that we all harbor biases. It's not about beating ourselves up over it, it's about recognizing that we're human, and humans are prone to errors. Next, we need to shine a light on our decision-making processes. This means implementing rigorous evaluation methods, ones that are free from ambiguity and subjective interpretation. We must scrutinize our data, looking for patterns and anomalies that might indicate bias. Another vital step is to diversify our teams and create an environment of psychological safety. When people feel valued and respected, they're more likely to speak up, to challenge assumptions, and to push back against biases. In the case of the manufacturing firm, we implemented a mentorship program, pairing newer employees with experienced supervisors. We also introduced blind hiring practices, removing identifiable information from resumes to minimize bias during the selection process. The results were nothing short of astonishing. Production quality soared, and output increased by a whopping 25%. But more importantly, the organization began to shift, to morph into a place where everyone felt seen, heard, and valued. As I look back on that experience, I'm reminded of the importance of humility and self-awareness. We must be willing to confront our own biases, to question our assumptions, and to adapt to new information. Operational excellence is not about achieving some mythical state of perfection, it's about embracing the imperfections, the ambiguities, and the complexities of human nature. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress, prone to mistakes, but capable of growth and change. In the end, our battle against implicit bias is not about annihilating it, it's about learning to coexist, to acknowledge its presence, and to work around it. By doing so, we can create organizations that are more resilient, more adaptable, and more inclined to achieve operational excellence.